The great hall of the Galactic Coalition Command Station was cold and quiet. Thousands of alien eyes stared down at the small human standing in the center. Kangtae kept his back straight. He would not let them see him shake. Admiral Vorn sat on the highest seat. He was a tall creature with 6 arms and skin like black glass. His eyes had no pupils, just empty white circles that seemed to look through everything. When he spoke, his voice clicked and buzzed like angry insects. Kangtae, human cadet. Number 7742. You have been found guilty of striking a superior officer. Do you deny this? Tae looked up at the Admiral. He thought about the moment 3 days ago. Commander Reth had been screaming at a young human recruit. The boy was only 18. He had made a small mistake during training. Commander Reth had grabbed the boy by the throat and lifted him off the ground. Tae had not thought. He had just moved. His fist had connected with Commander Reth's face. The alien had dropped the recruit and fallen to the floor. It had felt good. It still felt good. No, Admiral, Tae said. I do not deny it. I would do it again. A murmur ran through the crowd. The aliens whispered to each other. Humans were new to the coalition. They had only joined 15 years ago. Most species still saw them as primitive, weak, emotional. This human was proving them right. Admiral Vorn raised one of his 6 hands. The hall went silent. Your species continues to disappoint us, the Admiral said. We gave you a place in our coalition. We allowed you to serve among us. And this is how you repay our generosity. With violence. With chaos. Tae wanted to laugh. The coalition had not given humans anything. They had demanded tribute. They had taken Earth's resources. They had forced young humans to serve as soldiers in wars they did not understand. But Tae kept his mouth shut. Speaking more would only make things worse. The punishment for striking a superior officer is death, Admiral Vorn continued. However, the coalition believes in mercy. We will not execute you, human. Instead, you will be deployed to planet KR-77. You will remain there for the rest of your natural life. The murmurs grew louder. Some of the aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. Tae did not understand. He had never heard of planet KR-77. A screen appeared in the air above the Admiral. It showed a red planet covered in thick jungle. The colors were wrong. The plants were purple and black. The sky was orange with green clouds. It looked like a nightmare painted by a child. Planet KR-77, the Admiral said. We call it the Graveyard. Class X world. Toxic atmosphere. Extreme temperature changes. And predators that have killed every scout we have ever sent. The average survival time is 6 hours. No one has ever lasted more than 2 days. Now Tae understood. This was not mercy. This was entertainment. They wanted to watch him die slowly on a hostile world. They wanted to make an example of him. You will be given a basic shelter pod, the Admiral continued. Emergency rations for 3 days. And a one-way transmitter. You can send messages, but you will never receive any. No rescue will come. No extraction will be approved. You will live and die alone on the graveyard. The screen showed images of the creatures on KR-77. Massive beasts with too many legs. Things with teeth the size of swords. Shadows that moved through the jungle like ghosts. Tae felt his heart beating faster. But he did not let his face change. Do you have any final words, human? Admiral Vorn asked. Tae looked around the hall. Thousands of aliens stared back at him. They expected him to beg, to cry, to fall on his knees and ask for mercy. He could see it in their strange eyes. They wanted to show. He smiled instead. Yeah, he said. I hear the fishing is great on KR-77. I will send you a video. The hall exploded with noise. Some aliens were angry. Others were confused. Admiral Vaughn's white eyes narrowed. He waved his hand, and guards came forward to take Tay away. As they dragged him toward the exit, Tay saw two familiar faces in the crowd. Lieutenant Hannah stood near the back. She was a human communications officer. She had helped train Tay when he first arrived. Her face was calm, but her eyes were wet. Next to her was Specialist Yuna, another human. She worked as an analyst. She was typing something quickly on her datapad. The guards pushed Tay through a door and into a long hallway. They walked for several minutes until they reached a small room. Inside was a transport pod. It was old and dirty, barely big enough for one person. "You have 1 hour," one of the guards said. "Gather your things and say your goodbyes." The guards left. Tay stood alone in the room. He looked at the transport pod. This would be his coffin. This would carry him to his death. The door opened behind him. Lieutenant Hannah stepped inside. She moved quickly and quietly. She looked over her shoulder to make sure no one had followed her. "Tay," she whispered, "I do not have much time." She pressed something into his hand. It was a small datapad, personal, unregistered, the kind that could not be tracked. "This has maps of KR-77, she said. "Everything we know about the planet, the creatures, the terrain. It is not much, but it might help." Tay looked at the datapad. He looked at Hannah. "Why?" he asked. "Why are you helping me?" Hannah grabbed his hand and squeezed it tight. "Because humans do not abandon each other. Because what you did was right. Because someone needs to show these aliens what we are made of." She let go and stepped back toward the door. "Stay alive, Tay," she said. "Show them what humans do." Then she was gone. Tay sat down in the transport pod. He strapped himself in. He held the datapad close to his chest. The engine started with a low hum. The pod began to shake. Outside the small window, he could see the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, his home. He would probably never see it again. The pod launched. Space rushed past the window. Hours passed. Tay slept. When he woke up, the window showed red and orange. Planet KR-77. The graveyard. The pod entered the atmosphere. Fire surrounded the window. The shaking became violent. Alarms screamed. Something cracked. Something broke. Then silence. A hard impact. Tay's head hit something. Stars exploded behind his eyes. When he opened them again, everything was still. The pod had landed. Smoke filled the small space. The door was bent, but not broken. Tay kicked it twice. 3 times. On the 4th kick, it fell away. Red light flooded in. Hot air hit his face. It smelled like metal and rotting plants. Strange sounds came from the jungle around him. Screams and clicks and things he could not name. Tay stepped out of the pod. His boots sank into soft purple mud. Above him, the orange sky swirled with green clouds. Around him, black trees stretched up toward the sky like giant fingers. Something roared in the distance. Something big. Tay took a deep breath. The air burned his throat. He pulled out his emergency respirator and put it over his face. Better. Not good, but better. He looked at the jungle. The jungle looked back. "All right," Tay said to no one. "Let us see what you have got." The first day on KR-77 was the longest day of Tay's life. Every minute felt like an hour. Every hour felt like forever. He stayed close to his crash pod. It was damaged, but not destroyed. The shelter function still worked. He could seal the door and keep the worst of the air out. But he knew he could not stay inside forever. His rations would last 3 days. Maybe 4 if he ate less. After that, He would have to find food or die. The jungle was alive with sounds. Clicks and whistles and low growls that shook the ground. Tay watched through the pod's small window. He saw shadows moving between the black trees. Some were small. Some were very big. All of them were dangerous. He studied the datapad Hana had given him. The information was limited. KR-77 had been scouted only a few times. Most scouts died within hours. The ones who survived long enough to send reports talked about the predators. They hunted by sound and heat. They were fast. They were smart. And they never stopped hunting once they found prey. Tay made a plan. On the second day, he would explore. He would move slowly and carefully. He would find water. He would find food. He would not die like the others. When the orange sun rose again, Tay left the pod. He covered himself in purple mud. It was cold and smelled terrible, but it would hide his heat signature. He moved through the jungle without making sound. He had learned to move like this on Earth. His father had taught him how to hunt in the mountains of his homeland. Be patient, his father always said. Be still. Let the forest accept you. The jungle of KR-77 was nothing like the forests of Earth. The trees had no leaves. Instead, they had long strings that hung down like hair. The strings glowed faintly in the dim light. When Tay touched one by accident, it burned his skin. He learned to avoid them. After 2 hours, he found water. A small stream ran between two hills. The water was dark green, but the datapad said it might be safe after boiling. Tay marked the location in his mind and kept moving. He found plants that looked like mushrooms. They were as big as his head and colored bright blue. He did not know if they were safe to eat. He took one and put it in his bag. He would test it later. If it killed him, at least he would die with a full stomach. On his way back to the pod, he felt something watching him. Tay stopped. He stood very still. His heart beat fast, but he controlled his breathing. Slow, steady. Do not show fear. Fear is a smell. Fear is a sound. Fear is death. The bushes to his left moved. Something was there. Something big. It stepped out slowly. Tay's breath caught in his throat. The creature was beautiful and terrifying. It had 6 legs like a giant cat. Its body was covered in dark fur with stripes that glowed blue in the shadows. Its head was wide and flat with 4 eyes that reflected the orange sky. Its mouth opened, showing rows of teeth like broken glass. This was an apex predator. This was the thing that had killed all the scouts before him. The creature moved closer. Its 4 eyes fixed on Tay. It was confused. Tay could see it. Every other thing it had hunted had run or fought. Tay did neither. He just stood there. Slowly, very slowly, Tay sat down on the ground. He reached into his bag and pulled out a ration bar. He unwrapped it calmly. He took a bite. The creature tilted its head. It did not understand. What was this strange prey doing? Tay chewed slowly. He did not look directly at the creature. In the animal kingdom, direct eye contact was a challenge. He kept his gaze soft. Relaxed. He acted like he was having a peaceful lunch in a park. The creature came closer. It was now only 5 meters away. Tay could smell it. It smelled like rain and blood. He broke off a piece of the ration bar and tossed it toward the creature. The beast jumped back. It hissed, but then it looked at the food on the ground. It sniffed. After a long moment, it ate the piece. Tay threw another piece, closer this time. The creature ate it too. For the next hour, Tay and the predator sat together in the jungle. Tay ate his ration bar. The creature ate the pieces he threw. Neither attacked. Neither ran. When Tay finally stood up, the creature did not move. It just watched him with those 4 glowing eyes. Tay walked back to his pod. He could feel the creature following him. Watching, waiting. That night, Tay slept in his pod with the door sealed. In the morning, he looked outside. The creature was there. Sitting near the pod like a guard. Tay opened the door. "Hello again," he said. The creature made a low sound, not a growl. Something softer, almost like a greeting. "I'm going to call you Balmy," Tay said. "I had a cat named Bomi when I was a child. You kind of look like her. If she was huge and had 6 legs and could kill me in 2 seconds." Bomi tilted her head. She did not understand his words, but she understood his tone. Friendly, calm, safe. Over the next 3 days, Tay and Bomi formed an unlikely friendship. Tay shared his food. Bomi protected him from other predators. Twice, she chased away creatures that came too close to the pod. Once, she killed something that looked like a giant snake and dropped it at Tay's feet like a gift. "Thank you," Tay said, looking at the dead creature. "I think I have no idea how to cook this thing." Bomi made that soft sound again. She seemed proud. On the 5th day, Tay made a decision. The rations were almost gone. He needed to find real food. He needed to hunt and fish and gather. He could not keep hiding in the pod. He looked at Bomi. "Want to go on an adventure?" Bomi stood up. Her 6 legs stretched. Her glowing stripes flickered with excitement. "I will take that as a yes," Tay said. They walked into the jungle together, a human and an alien predator. It was the strangest friendship in the galaxy. And it was only the beginning. Back at Coalition Command Station, an alarm went off in the monitoring room. Specialist Yuna looked at her screen. Her eyes went wide. "Lieutenant Hana," she called. "You need to see this." Hana walked over. She looked at the screen. It showed a small dot on planet KR77, a life sign. Human. "He is still alive," Yuna whispered. "Day 5. He is still alive." Hana smiled. It was the first time she had smiled in days. "I told him to show them what humans do." In his command chamber, Admiral Vorn received the same report. His white eyes narrowed. His 6 hands clenched into fists. "Impossible," he said. "No one survives the graveyard." But the data did not lie. The human was alive. And somehow, against all odds, he was thriving. He smiled. It was strange to smile on a death planet. But life was full of strange things. A week ago, he was a cadet in trouble. Now he was a survivor with an alien pet. The rations were gone. Today, he had to find real food or start dying. He chose to find food. Tay and Bomi walked through the jungle together. Tay had learned to read the planet now. He knew which plants burned and which were safe. He knew how to follow the sounds of water. He knew when to be still and when to move. After 2 hours, they found something wonderful. A cave system in the side of a mountain. Cool air came from inside. And near the entrance, a spring of fresh water bubbled up from the rocks. Tay tested the water carefully. He boiled it over a small fire. He drank a tiny amount and waited. No pain, no sickness. The water was safe. "Bomi," Tay said, "I think we found home." The cave was perfect. It was dry and protected from the weather. The temperature inside was steady, not too hot, not too cold. Tay spent the next 2 days moving his supplies from the pod to the cave. He built a fire pit near the entrance. He collected the glowing strings from the trees. They burned well and gave off light without much smoke. He made a bed from soft plants that grew near the water. Bomi seemed to approve. She chose a spot near the cave entrance and claimed it as her own. Any creature that came too close got a warning growl. If they did not leave, they got worse. On day 9, Tay discovered something amazing. The underground river had fish. They were not really fish. They looked like fish, but they had small legs and strange faces. Tay did not care what they looked like. He only cared that they were made of meat. He spent hours making fishing tools. He bent metal from his crash pod into hooks. He pulled fibers from plants and twisted them into line. He found a long stick and attached everything together. His first attempt at fishing failed. The creatures were fast and smart, but Tay was patient. On his third day of trying, he caught one. He held up the ugly thing and laughed. It was purple and slimy and looked angry, but it was food. "I am calling these ugly bass," he told Bomi, "because they are ugly and I am bad at names." He cooked the fish over his fire. It tasted like chicken and dirt, but it was the best meal he had ever eaten. That night, Tay remembered the datapad Hana had given him. It could record videos. The transmitter from his pod could send signals one way. He could not receive messages, but he could send them. An idea formed in his mind. A crazy, stupid, wonderful idea. He set up the datapad near the fire. He pressed record. "Hello," he said, looking at the camera. "My name is Kante. Some of you might remember me. I punched Commander Reth in the face. The Coalition sent me here to die. But I am not dead yet." He held up the ugly base. "Day 14 on the graveyard. I caught 3 of these today. I am calling them ugly base. My friend Bomi tried to eat one raw and got sick. I told her she needs to trust the process." Bomi looked at the camera and made her soft sound. "Anyway, if anyone is watching, the weather is nice. Could use some salt, though. This is Tay, signing off from the deadliest planet in the galaxy." He stopped recording. He connected the datapad to his transmitter. He pressed send. The signal traveled out into space. It bounced off satellites. It reached the Coalition communication networks. It arrived at Command Station. Specialist Yuna was the first to see it. She watched the video 3 times. Then she called Lieutenant Hana. Then they called others. Within hours, the video had spread through the human sections of the station. A human, alive on KR-77, fishing, joking, talking about the weather. It was impossible. It was wonderful. Admiral Vorm saw the video too. He was not amused. "This is a trick," he said. "The human modified his transmitter. He is sending false signals." "The signals are authentic, Admiral," his aide said. "The biometric data matches. The human is really alive." Admiral Vorn stared at the screen. At the smiling human holding his ugly fish. At the 6-legged predator that should have eaten him. "Keep monitoring," the Admiral ordered. "He will die soon. They always do." But days passed, and more videos came. Day 17. Tay showed off his cave home. He had built shelves and a table. He had made bowls from dried plants. His shelter looked almost comfortable. Day 20. Tay demonstrated his fishing technique. He explained how to read the water, how to be patient, how to wait for the right moment. Bomi sat beside him and watched for danger. Day 23. Tay found new food. The blue mushrooms were safe to eat after cooking. They tasted like bread. He was building a varied diet. "People ask me how I am surviving," Tay said in one video. "The secret is simple. Do not panic. Observe. Adapt. Humans have been doing this for thousands of years. We survived ice ages. We survived deserts. We survived each other. One planet with some angry animals? Please. This is a vacation compared to human history." The videos became popular, not just among humans. Other species started watching. They were curious. How was this primitive creature surviving where their best soldiers had failed? Admiral Vorn watched the numbers, views, shares, comments. The human was becoming famous. The death sentence was becoming a joke. He called a meeting with his advisors. "We have a problem," the Admiral said. "The human is not dying, and the galaxy is watching. Should we send a team to eliminate him?" One advisor asked. The Admiral considered this. "It would be easy. Send a strike team. Make it look like an accident. End this embarrassment." But then he shook his head. No, that would make him a martyr. The humans would never forget. We would have riots. Then what do we do? Admiral Vorn stared at the screen. The human was teaching Bomi to fetch sticks. The predator brought back an entire tree. The human laughed. "We wait," the admiral said. "The planet will kill him eventually. It always does." But in his heart, he was not so sure anymore. "Fetch," he said, throwing the stick into the bushes. Bomi ran after it. She returned 30 seconds later. She was not carrying the stick. She was dragging an entire tree. Roots and all. Tay stared. "That is not what I meant, but okay. Good girl. Very strong. Terrifying, but good." He recorded this moment. He sent it out into space. The galaxy lost its mind. Specialist. Yuna had been quietly leaking Tay's videos to human networks for weeks. Now, they were everywhere. Humans across the coalition watched the fishing vlogs. They shared them with their families. They made jokes about the ugly bass, but it did not stop with humans. Other species became curious. The Vreen, a reptile species known for their hunting culture, respected Tay's survival skills. The Molluth, an aquatic species, were fascinated by his fishing techniques. Even the cold, logical Centauri were impressed by his problem-solving. Tay had no idea he was famous. His transmitter only sent. It did not receive. He was just talking to himself, keeping himself sane. But his words were reaching billions. Day 28. A massive storm hit KR-77. The sky turned black. Wind tore through the jungle. Rain fell like bullets. Tay sealed himself and Bomi in the deepest part of the cave. They sat together by a small fire. Lightning crashed outside. The ground shook with thunder. "Looks like we are stuck here for a while," Tay said to the camera. "Perfect time for a game." He pulled out a deck of cards he had made from dried plant material. He had painted symbols on them using colored mud. He started playing a game with himself, explaining the rules as he went. Bomi watched. She did not understand the game, but she liked being close to Tay. When thunder crashed, she pressed against him. He scratched her behind the ears. "It is okay, girl," he said. "Just noise. Just the sky being angry. We are safe." The video of that night became the most watched in Coalition history. A human, comforting a predator during a storm. Playing cards like nothing was wrong. Laughing at the weather that should have killed him. Day 32. Tay built a smoker from rocks and mud. He started preserving fish. His food supply grew. He was not just surviving anymore. He was building a future. "This is basically vacation now," he said in his video. "I wake up when I want. I fish when I want. I take naps with my best friend. If someone told me I would enjoy exile this much, I would have punched more officers." The Coalition Council demanded answers. How was a single human doing what their best soldiers could not? Admiral Vorn faced question after question. "Humans are adaptable," he finally admitted. "More adaptable than we expected. Should we not study this?" One council member asked. "Learn from it?" "The human is a criminal," Admiral Vorn snapped. "He does not deserve study. He deserves punishment." But the council was not satisfied. Humans were starting to seem less primitive, less controllable. This was dangerous. Day 38. Tay discovered that Bomi was pregnant. He noticed she was eating more, moving slower, being more careful. One morning, he pressed his hand against her belly and felt movement. "Oh no," he said. "Oh no, no, no. Bomi, are you serious?" Bomi made her soft sound. She seemed happy. "I am going to be a grandpa," Tay said to the camera. "A grandpa to alien predator babies. This was not in my life plan. But honestly, nothing has been in my life plan lately. The pregnancy changed things." Bomi needed more food. Tay started hunting instead of just fishing. He made spears from sharpened sticks. He set traps near animal trails. He became more aggressive and gathering supplies at the same time. He became softer with Bomi. He built a comfortable nest for her in the cave. He brought her the best parts of every hunt. He talked to her belly like the babies could hear him. You kids are going to grow up in a crazy world, he told them. But your mom is strong, and your weird human friend will protect you. I promise. Back at command station, Lieutenant Hana made her move. She walked into Admiral Vaughn's office without permission. She stood in front of his desk and spoke clearly. I am formally requesting an extraction mission for Kang Tae. Admiral Vaughn laughed. It was an ugly sound, like glass breaking. Request denied. He has survived 60 days on a Class X world. He has valuable survival data. He should be studied, debriefed, returned to service. He is a criminal. He punched one officer who was abusing recruits. Half the soldiers on this station wanted to do the same thing. The Admiral's wide eyes narrowed. Be careful, Lieutenant. You are very close to joining him. Hannah did not back down. The humans are watching, Admiral. All of them. Every colony. Every station. If Tae dies now, after everything, there will be consequences. Is that a threat? It is a fact. Humans do not forget. And we do not forgive those who abandon our own. Admiral Vaughn stared at her for a long moment. Then he pointed to the door. Get out. Hannah turned and left. She had lost this battle. But the war was not over. Day 45. Bomi gave birth to 3 babies. They were small and blind and perfect. They made tiny crying sounds that broke Tae's heart. He sat in the cave, watching the mother care for her children. He recorded everything. I do not have words, he said quietly. I came here to die. Instead, I found family. I found purpose. I found something worth living for. He looked at the camera. His eyes were wet. To anyone watching, to any human who feels alone or forgotten or thrown away, do not give up. Keep moving. Keep fighting. The universe will surprise you if you let it. He turned off the camera. He sat in the dark with Bomi and her babies. For the first time since landing on KR-77, Kang Tae cried, but they were not sad tears. They were something else. Something better. They were tears of a man who had found his place in the universe. Even if that place was a death planet that refused to kill him. Day 60. The sun rose orange and angry over KR-77. Tae sat outside his cave, cooking breakfast. The 3 baby predators tumbled around his feet, playing with each other. Bomi watched nearby, relaxed and content. Tae heard it before he saw it. A sound that did not belong. Not an animal. Not the wind. Something mechanical. Something from the sky. He looked up. A ship was descending through the green clouds. Coalition design, but modified. Darker. Faster. Not official. Tae stood up slowly. He picked up his spear. The babies ran to their mother. Bomi made a low warning growl. Easy, girl, Tae said. Let us see who came to visit. The ship landed in the clearing near the old crash site. The engines powered down. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the door opened. Lieutenant Hana stepped out. Tae dropped his spear. His legs felt weak. Hana? She ran to him. She threw her arms around him and squeezed tight. You idiot, she said into his shoulder. You absolute idiot. You were supposed to just survive, not become famous. What are you doing here? Tae asked. How is this possible? More people exited the ship. Some were human soldiers. Others were aliens. Species Tae recognized from his vlogs. A Vreen hunter. 2 Mala scouts. Even a Synthry scientist. We watched your videos, the Vreen said. You are a true survivor. We honor this. The Admiral would not approve rescue, Hannah explained. So we did it ourselves, unofficial, volunteer basis. Ships and supplies donated by species across the coalition. Tay looked at the group. Humans and aliens standing together. For him, a nobody cadet who punched an officer and got sent to die. I do not understand, he said. The Sentry scientist stepped forward. Your survival demonstrates exceptional adaptability. Your methods are worth study. Your data is valuable. From a logical perspective, retrieving you is the correct choice. The Molluth made a burbling sound. From our perspective, you are simply a good person who deserves help. Not everything needs to be logical. Tay felt his eyes burning. He blinked hard. Thank you, he managed. All of you. Bomi made her warning growl again. She had moved closer, putting herself between Tay and the strangers. Her babies hid behind her legs. It is okay, Bomi, Tay said. He put his hand on her head. These are friends. Hannah looked at the six-legged predator. Is that the creature from your videos? She is bigger than I expected. She is family, Tay said. And she is coming with me. Her and the kids. There was a moment of silence. Some of the aliens exchanged looks. That could be complicated, Hannah said carefully. Then we will figure it out. I am not leaving them. They are part of my life now. The Vreen hunter stepped forward. He looked at Bomi with respect. A warrior does not abandon those who fight beside him. We understand this. After some discussion, they agreed. Bomi and her babies would come. The Sentry scientist was actually excited. A live apex predator from KR-77 would provide valuable research opportunities. Tay spent the next hour gathering his things. His fishing gear. His tools. His makeshift furniture. Things that seemed silly to take but meant everything to him. Bomi seemed to understand they were leaving. She sniffed around the cave one last time. She made her soft sound at the walls, the fire pit, the water spring, saying goodbye in her own way. I know, girl, Tay said. I will miss it too. The better things are waiting. They loaded onto the ship. It was crowded with humans, aliens, and one very large predator with 3 babies. Nobody complained. Everyone made room. The ship lifted off. Tay watched through the window as KR-77 grew smaller. The red jungle. The orange sky. The planet that was supposed to kill him. Thank you, he whispered to it, for teaching me who I am. 3 days later, they arrived at Coalition Command Station. Admiral Vorn was furious. He had not authorized this rescue. He had not approved any of it. But he could not stop it either. The ship had already landed. The media was already there. The entire galaxy was watching. Tay walked out of the ship with Bomi at his side. The 3 babies rode on his shoulders and back. Thousands of beings filled the landing bay. Humans cheered. Even some aliens clapped their strange hands. Admiral Vorm pushed through the crowd. His white eyes burned with anger. This is unacceptable, he said. You are a criminal. You were sentenced to exile. You cannot just return. I did not return, Tay said calmly. I was rescued by citizens of the Coalition who volunteered their time and resources. All perfectly legal. You will be punished. For what? Surviving? Making friends? Fishing? The Admiral had no answer. The crowd murmured. Tay's words were being broadcast across the galaxy. Tay stepped closer to the Admiral. He spoke quietly now, just for the 2 of them. You sent me there to die. You wanted to make an example. Show humans what happens when we step out of line. He smiled. But you forgot something about humans, Admiral. We do not lie down and die. We do not accept our fate. We fight. We adapt. We find a way. Always. He stepped back and raised his voice again. I went to the graveyard. I caught fish. I made friends with a predator. I raised a family. And I sent back videos because I thought it was funny. That is who we are. That is what humans do. The crowd erupted in cheers. Admiral Vorn stood frozen, humiliated in front of the entire coalition. He turned and walked away without another word. Days later, the Coalition Council made a decision. Kante would not be punished. Instead, he would be promoted. His new role was Human Survival Integration Advisor. He would train others in the techniques that have kept him alive on KR-77. Bomi and her babies were given a special habitat on the station. A large space with plants and water and room to run. Tay visited every day. The babies grew bigger. They learned to recognize him. They greeted him with happy sounds whenever he arrived. 1 month after his return, Tay recorded one final vlog. He sat in his new quarters. Clean, comfortable, boring compared to his cave. Bomi lay beside him, her head on his lap. The babies slept in a pile nearby. So that is the story, he said to the camera. They sent me to a no-return planet. I sent back a fishing vlog. Pretty good joke, right? He scratched Bomi behind the ears. She made her soft sound. I learned something out there. Something important. It does not matter where they send you. It does not matter how hard things get. What matters is how you respond. Do you give up? Or do you keep going? He looked directly at the camera. Humans keep going. We always have. We always will. It is in our blood. Our bones. Our souls. The universe can throw anything at us. We will find a way to survive. And maybe, if we are lucky, we will make some friends along the way. He smiled. The same smile he had worn when facing Admiral Vorn, when meeting Bomi for the first time, when surviving day after day on a planet that should have killed him. This is Kang Tae, signing off. Take care of yourselves out there. And remember, when life sends you to a death planet, go fishing. He reached over and turned off the camera. Bomi lifted her head and looked at him with her 4 glowing eyes. What do you think, girl? Tae asked. Good ending? Bomi made her soft sound. She licked his face with her rough tongue. Tae laughed and hugged her neck. Outside his window, the stars sparkled. Billions of worlds. Billions of possibilities. Billions of adventures waiting to happen. And somewhere out there, a little red planet called the Graveyard spun quietly in space. Changed forever by one human who refused to die.